Hey everyone, I cannot tell you how much I love these books. These are by Ruth Sanderson. And again, I've got a window in front of me that's in the way. But anyway, there you go. So, beautiful fairy tales. And here's another one, but this one is Goldilocks. And it is, there's the bottom right there. I know I've still yet to figure out this window situation. Let me move that over. Sorry, y'all are going to get all the experiments. Then there's this one. Now, I got to say, I have not bought but one of these maybe. This one's hers also right here. She has generously sent these to me over the years so that I could do reviews and stuff. I wanted to talk about grayscale though, and this is another favorite in the realm of grayscales. Jane Maydays. Not all colored pencils are the same. Not all colored pencils will work the same on all books. But that's a grayscale colored up. In this book, the pages are they're good enough. I mean, they're nice pages. And then, did I do one in this book? Let me see. This one, the pages are a lot thinner. In fact, you can see a lot of that white peeking through there. But anyway, regardless, I thought I'd work in one tonight. And these are the cheaper of the Marco pencils. They're the Raffines. But I just want to do a little bit here. And let me say too, I think I solved the putting a donation button on the site. If you're on your camera, if you see up across the top of the screen, there's these little like tabs and things that you can scroll across. If you'll scroll to the one on the end, and click it, it's the About button. It actually has a donation button on it that you can click, and it goes right through YouTube or your credit card. Not YouTube, PayPal, sorry. And then if you're on your laptop, it's right up in that banner across the top. But anyway, enough about that. So I'm using the Marco Raffines. I'm using 550, 553, wrong, 543, 546. So 550, 543, 546. Order light to dark. If you'll get in the habit of doing that, you can do all three pencils at once. When you're doing grayscale, go ahead and start with the lightest or the middle. I wouldn't necessarily start with the dark because then you can't get darker if you need it. So that's my thoughts on there. And I just come in and I'm going to do it and then overlap into my medium just a little bit. All right. And there's a little bit of light right in there. Okay, so just the lightest areas. I did not work in grayscale for a while, and then when I started my Patreon, I went out and shot my own pictures in grayscale and got to where I really enjoyed doing the grayscale. Now I'm going to go to my middle color. Actually, let's go ahead and go to the darkest, but keep a light hand on it. Okay, don't get real dark yet. And you're going to see it's going to look dark. And I'm holding way back on this pencil so that I can't bear down on it. Okay, so I'm heavy-handed, but you can see how that's already looking pretty dark. So hopefully you are using some sort of a Chromecast stick or something on your TV, and you're able to really blow this up and look at it, or you're on your laptop. But anyway, what was I saying? I forget. It'll come back to me. Oh, so when I was on Patreon, I was taking a lot of my photos myself and turning them into grayscale. In fact, those are still up over on Patreon. It's patreon.com/Pam Proctor, Proctor. And yeah, it was interesting because I went from not sure if I liked grayscale to finding that it was a good help for a lot of people. Now, the reason I say that, after you've done a few grayscale, your brain just kind of takes over and tells you this area is going to be darker, this area is going to be lighter. And before long, you don't need that grayscale anymore to help you for that. And then when you want to go to regular coloring books without the grayscale, just a regular black and white, you know what I'm talking about. The transition is much easier on figuring out those different darks and lights. So here I'm just coming in and just putting some of that color in. There's some leaves there that belong to that flower. So I'm just trying to work around all those. Now I know this is going to be my darker. And memo to self, my light is on the wrong side. I should have put the light on that side because of being right-handed. See how I'm leaving a shadow here? So, like I said, I'm trying a lot of different things over the last few months. Different setup, moved the camera, just a bunch of things. I almost gutted this room that I'm working in to reset it up for just my art. Okay, now I'm going to take that middle tone, and so I'm going to put my finger between here. That way, without even looking in a little bit, I know that's where that pencil goes back. Now, that's not a big deal right now when your pencils are this different in color. But sometimes if you're using pencils that are a lot closer in color, it is quite easy to get those mixed up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the light and the dark. And I do have a clear plastic overhead transparency behind this page so that I'm not indenting into the next page. I'm just trying to think of all the things for the new people that have found me. I mean, I've got, I don't know, a couple hundred videos anyway out there on YouTube on coloring, but I know a lot of you have not been following me that long, so you don't necessarily know all the different things I've said in past videos. So I'm trying to kind of work some of those things in, but we just want this color to really mesh in together. So I'm going to overlap into the light just a little bit there, and right there it's just a little bit darker. But yeah, if you'll use your lightest color in each set of colors instead of a blending pencil, you will get more color to your picture and less of the muted. Meaning that if I were to go back right now and take a blending pencil to all this to help blend it, that color would be more dull in the long run, because what you're doing is lifting that pencil and moving it around to get into all the little divots and white areas of the paper. Okay? If you're using your lighter color to blend, then you're actually adding more and more color to the page instead of just moving around what's there. And you'll find that you just end up with a more vibrant page in the long run. So just a thought. And when I first started, I used blending pencils. Yeah, so I mean, it's whatever helps you at the time. Um, are all blenders the same? I do not know the answer to that. I don't. Um, I have the ones by Prismacolor, and I can tell you I have used those with other pencils, and they've worked just fine. But again, you're moving color around instead of actually adding color to the page. So I would say as soon as you can wean yourself off of those, do. Yeah, you don't really need them. I mean, when you buy a box of Crayola pencils, that's not going to be in there. The blender's not going to be. All right, so now when you look at that, it should almost look really way 3D. Okay, now I still have some pitted areas in there, but again, this paper is super cheap. I mean, it is really cheap. I can hold it up like this, and I can see the line from this picture through the paper. All right, so just a warning on that. But now I'm coming back with my lightest color, and I'm going over everything, and it's just adding a little bit more yellow to the page because I'm using that yellow green instead of the green green. But can you tell a difference in just these bottom ones versus the top ones? Okay, watch here. It's really going to green it up and make it look almost fresher. It's a lot more vibrant. And if you can imagine the whole page done like this, it'll be really vibrant. All right, it's not something that we're going to get through quickly. I'm not in it to get through it quickly. Okay, so that's those. Now, I will tell you, this is brown. This is number 558. I didn't have a darker green that I really liked here, and I knew I was going to have areas where I wanted it even darker. So I can come in with this brown. Now I've got to be ever so careful that I blend it out pretty quickly. But do you see how that just pushed that? Turn my light some, see if that helps y'all. I don't want to blind you with reflections. Do you see how that tucked that back behind that pot though? So I can come in here in just a few little areas. Now this is going beyond grayscale. And I'm light touch as I'm coming out. See here where it's a little dark? I can come in here with some of this brown. I'm coming around, and it just kind of made that rounder. I'll come down here and do some. I'm using the brown as an anchor. See how this almost looks like it bulges out and then scoops right here? Well, if I put a little bit of dark right in here, I've just accentuated that scoop. All right, let's do it up here. I come right through here, then blend it lightly. See there? So that's something that you can do in your pages. Anywhere where you want to push something further back or down, add some depth. See, I can do it on this side too. Just don't overdo it. You don't want to turn the page brown. But now you can see, and see that shine there? That's just the wax and stuff built up from the pencils. There you go. You see how vibrant that is? All right. So there's that. let's go ahead and do her skirt, just because I'm at 15 minutes and have time. So, and then next time I'll do their faces. How's that? And then I'm probably going to jump around to another book. Who knows? So I'm going to start with the lightest. 522, 528. On the Raffines, there are no color names. Okay, there's just not. The colors are pretty vibrant though. Now, what I could do in this, I can take this dark. This is just to give you options. I can put these lines in, feather out a little bit as you come down. Okay, you don't want to get too dark all at once. But you can do dark towards the center of that line and then go a little lighter on both sides of it. See what I'm talking about? Dark through there, a little lighter on both sides. See, all this down here is dark. And it's going to get lighter and more narrow as it comes up. Okay, here's one. So I'm just going around, touching on all my dark areas where her skirt has kind of puddled on the ground here. Just touching on it. And it's a toss-up whether I do light or dark first. I think I generally do, I want to say I generally do the lighter first, because you can always get the lighter a little bit darker, but if you get the dark too dark to start with, it's hard to erase that and fix it, especially on this cheaper paper. This is really, when you hear somebody doing a review of a book and they say they got some of that cheap paper, this is what they're talking about. Now I will tell you, you can write some of the artists, and I know that there's a file with some artists' name in it over at Coloring Books Keep It Clean on Facebook. It's a coloring book group that I started like 3 years ago. There's a file over there, and it is all the different artists that have been contacted that have told us, yes, you can print that out on better paper for your own use. Feel free. There are some that will not, and I have been given the right act by a couple of artists that were like, they better not be copying mine. And that just brings you into a whole new can of worms about copyrights and all that, even though I know you own the book because you bought it. Anyway, we're not going there right now. I'm just saying that sometimes the artist will tell you with no doubt that they know that the paper is cheap, but it's how they were able to get the book out to you cheaper, and that you're more than welcome to copy that off for your own use. So anyway, that's always an option. And again, that is a group on Facebook, and it's called Coloring Books Keep It Clean. Mainly because the group as a whole stays on the lighter side of things. So anyway, it's a fun little group. Alright, so now I've done it all over. So let me change over now to my lighter color. Again, I just finished with 528, and I'm moving over to 522. Alright, so now all I have to do is color the whole skirt. And these two colors are not an exact pairing. but I thought that they would work well enough together that we would be okay with this. If you're looking for a book that's not grayscale, one of my absolute favorite artists would be Fabiana, and I won't even attempt her last name, but she's the one that does all the fairy tale series, and just beautiful, beautiful artwork. So love her work. There's somebody, I think the name is Collins. I have nothing by that artist. Does faces of children, and they're oversized. I wish I had one of those books, but that I think I have to get sent in from overseas. Now, from where I'm sitting, that doesn't look real good, but again, don't judge a page till you've got the whole area done. But again, it's this paper. So, yeah, it might. I wish I had checked to see if her name was among. I want to say she is among the ones that says that you can copy for your own use. But I don't want to swear to that and get anybody in trouble. In fact, let's just look at the front of the book and see if it says. What does she say about copyright? You can get the PDFs from her to do on your own. So it says not to share the originals, but since it's in PDF form also, I would say that pretty well says that you can go ahead and print these out on your own paper. Because PDF form, or if you've got your own book and you're reprinting, would be the same difference. I just use scrapbooking paper. I get a cardstock. I've gotten to where I buy it by the ream. And it's because my first love is painting, and I teach painting classes. And I do scrapbooking, so a lot of times I'll print out a color copy of something and hand it out to the students. So that's why I just go ahead and buy so much now. All right, so you can kind of see how this especially is really looking like fabric. I always try to keep my fingers out of the way, but it's so hard to color and keep me out of the way. You'll have to let me know too. Do advertisements pop up in my pages? Yeah, I'm not sure. So, like I said, I'm more into just doing the videos and popping them on and not taking care of all the rest of that. But I guess I should be. But anyway, just coloring across this like I am just lets you know that grayscale is very forgiving. Now I turned it, I'm going this way because that's the direction that the dress is pedaling. I try, when I'm not doing just my little circles, I try to do directional coloring where I'm going the direction that the item would be going. All right, so there you can see. So somebody had been asking about grayscale. Now, I want to show you how much white. Whoops, I'm sorry, I just bumped it with my pencil. See all that white that's still in there? So let me sit down and really go at this for a minute. All right, I'm really going to go at it. Now these are just a wax-based pencil, so you do get some build-up. The Marco Renoirs, yeah, if you ask the people on the website, they'll tell you they're oil-based, but if you ask the people out of China, where they come from, they'll tell you they're wax-based. So, got me. I'm figuring that they're more wax than oil, but that they do have some oil in them, just because they are so creamy. But again, the colors, you know, you're going to trade off somewhere with your pencils, either the creaminess or the intensity of the color or something. Now see there, I've managed to get some of that out. Now, do you see that right there? Okay, so I am going to grab just a tag that's laying over here, okay, from scrapbooking, just something smooth. I usually will grab a tissue, so we're going to see if this works or not. And see, it took off some of the extra, but now let's look at it. You see how it's smooth now instead of jaggedy? So you can take a tissue and do the same thing and rub some of that out. I would not use paper towel, just because if you take paper towel to it, it's just got more grain to it, more grit to it than a tissue does. Okay, but you can see how I can work at this and get even more of that white out. But it takes many, many times going over. And that's just because the tooth of this paper. But you can see how forgiving grayscale is, because I'm coloring right over the top of that darker shade that I put down first. And it's still coming out looking like some nice folds in the fabric. So again, this is a good way to start coloring if you're really unsure on where to put those lights and darks. Grayscale will help you with that immensely. Now, my phone may or may not cut off filming in a minute, so if it does, I will see you hopefully sooner than later. And again, it's across the top of the page over to the About tab, and then click it, and I've set it up for PayPal, and you can do PayPal or credit card or whatever. You know, I figure even $1 helps, and if you've got a question about a certain book, maybe it'll help me to be able to afford to go get that book and to be able to bring you more videos more often. So let me know if there's a particular book that you're interested in, and maybe I can put it on my wish list for one of the next things coming up. Somebody had just posted and asked about grayscale, and that's why I tuned into the grayscale so quickly. Told her I would try to get to it soon, so I think this is really good and soon. Alright, now the only other thing I would say is, see how this top is over the top of her skirt? So I'm going to come in here with the darker, and I'm going to do that darker right underneath, because it's like a shadow. Do you see how I just popped all that to the top by doing underneath it a little bit darker? And I'm not saying I'm the most knowledgeable about coloring. I'm not. Goodness knows I'm a painter by trade, a colorist after that, but I feel like I can teach some. So that's why I want to be able to get on here and keep doing these YouTube videos. And see, I'm just going to intensify some of these dark lines. See how it's looking more like folds in the fabric? Grayscale is very forgiving, y'all. Anytime you see somebody post a picture and it looks like a photo and they're like, oh no, I colored that. Go ahead, be brave. Ask them, say, was that grayscale? I've debated on getting into that. And a lot of times you'll find out, yeah, that was grayscale. But I'm just going over some of those original lines just to kind of set those ruffles in place. All right. There we go. So that easily. Any questions, comments? I hope that helped. And see, I've got that going on again. That they call it a bloom. So anytime, and you want to just try to stay in the area so that you don't smear. I don't want to smear that purple down onto here. But yeah, anytime you hear somebody talking about bloom, they're talking about that shine. But anyway, there, I'll get rid of it. Now you can see how that looks more like real fabric being draped. Okay, and there's our tree. Okay, so next time we're going to tackle the skin. All right, y'all have a good one. Leave me comments, give me thumbs up and hearts, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.